Hello and welcome to the Who the Fuck is in the Mirror podcast. I'm Angela Spooner, your host, emotional intelligence guide, trauma-informed coach, yoga instructor, confident, badass single mom of 3 amazing children, and founder of Unabashedly You. This podcast is all about using books, analogies, and metaphors to dive deep into who you really are to yourselves, not just as parents or some fictional version others made you out to be, right? But who the fuck you are. I want you to find your confidently badass, secure version of you that you lost along the way, or maybe you never even had in the first place because you were busy with everyone and everything else. Does that sound about right? So how about we get into the science of why we are a bunch of fucked up individuals who look in the mirror and don't even recognize the person that's staring back. Join me in the best journey you'll ever experience. Why, you may ask? Because it is the journey to transform your self-doubt, insecurity, and overall dysfunctional brain into self-aware, badass confidence and understanding. I hope you're as excited as I am because I cannot wait to get into this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Who the Fuck is in the Mirror. Now, for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about unmasking childhood trauma, understanding and healing that trauma, and just plain understanding in general, what the fuck is that trauma, right? That thing that we call childhood trauma. And do we really have it? Okay, so that being said, let's jump right in. So we're talking about Bowlby right now. I know we kind of cut things off last week and we said we're going to pick it up today with attachment theories and what's going on there. So speaking of attachment theory, Bowlby, who devoted a good portion of his life developing the attachment theory, made a radical claim that children's disturbed behavior was a response to actual life experiences, to neglect, brutality, and separation rather than the product of infantile sexual fantasies. Why do I bring up infantile sexual fantasies? Well, because Freud believes the opposite. Right? So I actually did a whole bunch of researching. I've heard about Freud and I've heard about Bowlby, but I've never really looked into it too much because I just never really was interested into it, right? As we talked about last week, I wasn't even interested in mental health, which is part of a trauma response, right? Because we want to stay comfortable. Anyways, I digress. So Freud, when he's talking about infantile sexuality, right? He's talking about the acknowledgement and existence of sexual stimuli that involved specific body areas and phases of development, whether oral, anal, or genital, and which the individual seeks pleasure independently of a biological function. Okay, first of all, I won't say anything yet. Hold on. So basically, he believes infantile sexuality begins with the gratification received from sucking and should be considered the prototype of all sexual gratification. So many fucking things that I don't personally. You just sound like a pervert, right? Come on, Freud. You just sound like a pervert right now. And I don't want to be thinking, your kids sucking on your breast. I don't want to be thinking about their sexual, infantile sexuality. What the fuck? Makes you wonder what this guy was smoking when he was thinking this, right? So I got really curious though, because I'm trying to be open-minded and not closed-minded. So now I started reading this encyclopedia. I just open it up and I'm like, let me just read about this, right? It says the hungry infant, this is what he talks about. The hungry infant at the mother's breast has a pleasurable experience being held and pleasurable sensations around the mouth as she or he sucks the breast. The next time the infant is hungry, she or he will remember the earlier experience of satisfaction. Okay, I get where he's talking about it, right? Because we do get those feelings and those sensations, especially our lips. Just in general, our lips have so much blood flow. So of course there's going to be more sensation there. Hence why our nipples have a lot of blood flow. Hence why our vaginas and penises, right? They have a lot of blood flow. Hence a lot of nerves. That is why. But okay. All right, Freud. We'll say that that's what it is. All right. So just keeping an open mind. He also says that it originally serves the purpose of taking on nourishment, but later becomes separation from that function, which the sole purpose has been pleasure seeking. He also says that childhood sexuality is not remembered because of infantile amnesia. So keep going, Angela. God. He says that oral, anal, and genital zones are sensitive areas and are profoundly important sites of both stimulation and interaction with caretakers. Thus, they become arenas for formative experiences with others. He also believes that these early central experiences shape personality development. Okay, so in my opinion, what the actual fuck, Freud? Like, okay. Where I do understand that there is more stimulation in those areas, I do not agree with the infantile amnesia. The whole fact of the matter is that your brain is in the first stages when you're first born. You have your first level, you have your 3 levels of your brain, right? Your first level, firstborn, we're talking just regular needs. Okay? We're talking poop, pee, eat, drink, all the different things, right? So then as you get older, you start going into the emotion phase. Then you go into the critically thinking phase, as we've talked about before, in around 12. Here's the thing, okay? It's not necessarily amnesia, in my opinion, but who's to fucking say? But I will say that I do not agree per se that it's something to do with a sexuality, with the genital zones. I just feel like kids are so innocent. They don't understand those kind of things. Their bodies should be fucking sacred, right? And when you cross that sacredness, that's when, you have a traumatic experience where they weren't respected. So, in other words, where I don't believe that Freud was in his right mind when he started that, right? Because there was so much tension and everything. He also is the starter of the whole shadow thinking, where you have your shadow selves and if you don't understand what shadow work is, basically it is those parts of you that you continuously shame, blame, push down, try to ignore. How many times do you sit there and say, I'm good now? How many times do you sit there and say, oh no, but I've already done work on myself, right? And your shadows are like, fuck you, bitch. That's not what I was feeling last night when you were sitting there having those thoughts of like disapproval with yourself or trying to constantly make up excuses for yourself, right? So where I don't believe in everything that Freud says, I do believe that he's got something going there, that the shadow self is vitally important. So I'm a firm believer that we get stuck in these theories and ideas, and we don't look at the broader picture. So I've had a few people like, oh, do you focus on this? Like an attachment, the attachment theory? Do you focus on Freud? Do you focus on this? You know what I fucking focus on? I focus on what I've been through. Hence why, as a business owner, you have niches, right? I'm obviously not going to get clients that their entire life they had love, safety, and belonging from their family members. They had a beautiful, I'm obviously there for a niche of people that have been through fucking shit. Whether you want to say that you're good or not, you've been through some shit, right? That is what my business is for. So the broader picture is that theory this, theory that. What do you believe within yourself for each and everything within each and every theory? You do not. What is this idea that we have to fucking follow everything? What is this idea? We are so stuck as human beings in believing this black and white, yes and no. And oftentimes there are multiple theories and ideas that can be collaborated together with only pieces of each to become the reality that we can truly feel as our reality. I found it really interesting that Freud, we have the Jung theory, which is the shadow work, okay, which is the actual shadow work that started. And Freud was like, you've got to believe everything within who tells you that you are not allowed to believe in something unless you believe in all of it? I'm sorry. I could be the worst, dumbest person in the world. I don't really give a shit what anyone else believes because I believe what I believe in. I don't believe in infantile sexuality. But I do believe that we do have parts of us that we push down and suppress because we were told that we were too much. We were not enough. We were too loud. We were too quiet. We were too nice. We were too loving. We weren't loving enough. We were too rude. We were too expressive. We were too happy. We were too sad, right? We push those parts down and we say, you can go sit over there. And we still haven't even accepted that that part is a part of us. So where I don't believe everything and every single theory, I do believe there are parts when we are learning and growing that need to be expressed and understood for yourself. You know what? If you believe that trees are alive, then fucking own that shit. Don't fucking hide it. Don't back out from it. Own that you believe that that tree is talking to you, right? Own it, believe it, and move on. Why do we have to fight about ideas? There was like a whole thing with Bowlby and Freud because of their butting of heads, right, with their theories. But it's funny, and I can even pull it up because there's actually like a whole thing on attachment theory versus psychoanalysis on simplypsychology.org. And they do this little like diagram and having problems. That's fine. trying to find it, that is. Basically, they're talking about with psychoanalysis, which is the Freud, unconscious loyalty in early figures compels repetitively recreating childhood relationships, even painful ones. Attachment research reveals insecure children elicit less positive response from others, likely due to maladaptive behaviors, confirming negative expectations. So let me read those two again. We have the psychoanalysis, which proposes unconscious loyalty to early figures, compels repetitively recreating childhood relationships, even painful ones. Attachment research reveals insecure children elicit less positive responses from others, likely due to maladaptive behaviors, confirming negative expectations. I believe they're both fucking true. So, attachment theory, they say, does not focus on this emotional devotion factor. However, understanding internal working models and ties to early figures helps explain the tenacity of maladaptive patterns. I can tell you that when I look at my past, okay, now I'm just going off of me, all right? When I look at my past, I see both. I see an insecure child that has less positive responses from others, and then maladaptive behaviors, and then confirms those negative expectations because I didn't know any better, right? Because I'm just learning the things that are around me. And if I don't have that constant learning, like the kids that are at the clinic, instead of at their homes in a safe environment, they're in this clinic where people aren't giving them those times, and these people are being so dismissive of their feelings. And then you have the other side of me. I have my unconscious loyalty to early figures compels repetitively recreating childhood relationships, even painful ones. I was doing that for years. So we can sit there all day and say, well, they had this issue. Well, I don't believe that. I believe this. But here's the thing. If you've been through trauma, you can see both sides of the spectrum for yourself. Am I right? You can see where you had those maladaptive behaviors, and you can see that you were recreating your childhood relationships over and over again in all those abusive, fucking toxic relationships. And you gaslight yourself and you give excuses and you say, I only dated that guy for a while, or I was out of that relationship. And you're still not accepting that you have a problem. We want to move forward. We always, as human beings, we want to move forward in our lives. But we can't accept just the simple facts. And these are the facts. You have fucked up shit. Literally. It even says, look, it says it right here on the simplepsychology.org. Change may feel threatening, like betraying one's past. Even misery can seem preferable to abandoning old attachments. We are so attached to what we know that we don't realize how broken what we know is. Hi, everyone. And let me just tell you that I had to stop this episode so that I could give you all the deets on what I'm building. Now, I know I've mentioned my Confident Queen membership. That has been changed. I've been doing a lot of self-reflection. I've done a lot of interviews of other women and finding out kind of what women want from a Mel Gibson point of view, right? Because we don't really know what other people are thinking. And doing a questionnaire with a whole bunch of women, beautiful, phenomenal women that give me their problems, their anxieties, feelings of loneliness, feelings of guilt, doubt, self-doubt, pressures of wanting to do everything for everyone else. And I decided that I needed to change things. So now my tagline is your confidence, your success, and your story. And that is going to be my mantra for my BFF Society membership. Same price, $49.95 per month. And what that will include is one-on-one wholeness and empowerment coaching, live group discussions on self-awareness, self-acceptance, accountability, personal boundaries, money management, and more. You'll also get pre-recorded informational videos on self-awareness, self-acceptance, accountability, personal boundaries, life without guilt and shame, body positivity, and more. You will get pre-recorded yoga, meditation, and mindfulness videos. You'll have a bonus section with my Confidence in 7 method, your Blast Fat guide, and relationship do's and don'ts. Now, why should you join? Self-compassion reduces self-criticism, promotes emotional healing, and builds resilience. Self-awareness enhances decision-making, improves emotional regulation, which in turn leads to understanding your needs and desires. Self-acceptance increases self-esteem, reduces anxiety and depression, and ultimately gives a sense of inner peace. I want to empower busy moms to confidently pursue their goals while building strong relationships with their kids and loved ones without guilt or self-doubt, because all moms should live their own success story, whether it's relationships, careers, family, whatever it be. You deserve to have your own success story. Now, this membership is the BFF Society. Boldly face your fears while being your own BFF. I am going to be building something far more beautiful, phenomenal, whatever word you want to call it. It's called the Transformation Camp. It's a 12-week transformation camp that will start October 28th. Now, that being said, if you join the monthly membership before October 15th, you will get a 50% discount to the transformation camp. This transformation camp is going to be a 12-week camp. 4 weeks self. 4 weeks self versus others, so that you aren't easily triggered and you become this badass self-aware woman where nothing gets to you and no one gets to you. The last 4 weeks is going to be on your accountability and goals to make you become that success story that you've always dreamed about but never thought to be possible. So I cannot wait to tell you more info as I get it all ready for you. I would love to have a conversation with you and just chat about everything that your heart desires. Can't wait to hear from you. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Change is possible, but so fucking difficult. So the reason why I say all of this and the reason why I bring them up is because it really does fascinate me, especially like being on social media and stuff, right? Where how many times do you see like a mom that wants to show all these pictures and videos of their child, but they don't really show themselves? Or you have all these fucking filters now, and you're so focused on the filters and you can't just accept your flaws. You can't accept that you're not fucking perfect, right? Fuck. It's unreal to me. And it's so unreal that people want to focus on everybody else, but they don't even know who they are. Most people don't even understand their own reality. They simply understand other people's realities. But then there's still pieces inside of them that are questioning, and instead of standing up for those differences of opinion, saying I don't have to believe that just because they believe that we have to believe it. We don't say that. We don't say that we don't have to believe that. We say we have to believe it because they tell us to, right? We tell ourselves to shut up because the thought of being shunned or not being accepted is more terrifying to us than the actual idea of allowing our brains and minds to be completely and utterly us, our opinions, our viewpoints, our beliefs, our values, everything. Everything is dependent on what other people deem for us. Why I mentioned the social media posts. Are you really posting those pictures because you're truly happy now? If you are, then that's wonderful. But is there a part of you that is still trying to seek that validation, that wants to be understood, that wants people to like them, to think their family's happy? We're trying so hard to make everybody else's approval that we've lost our own identity. Did we ever even have our fucking identity? If we've been through any kind of fucking trauma, have we ever in life had an identity that we can say, this is who we are? I love this French psychiatrist, Pierre Janet. Janet? I don't know. Pierre Janet? I don't know. I don't know who's to say. All right. So she says, every life is a piece of art put together with all means available. Every life. Every life. Why do we all have to follow a pattern or be told that we are this way or that way? When do we get to decide who we really are? And when do we get to hug our fucking inner child and say, I'm sorry, damn it? We all have these unique qualities, attributes. We're so pushed down. Like, okay, we have to be only this, or we have to be only this. Why do you think the name of my business is called Unabashedly You? Because you are you. You deserve to have your own success story and not to live in everybody else's shadow. You deserve to be the most badass version of you without any doubts or without any of your past holding your back. Be empowered by your past, because your past makes you who you really are. But the problem is that, say we're not cared for appropriately, right? Then we're repeating our own history over and over again in our life because we never learned another way. But we can learn another way. I had no idea how fucked up my brain was. I had no idea how broken and hurt and how shamed I was of myself. I didn't learn those things. Think about it. Your self-care, self-regulation, self-awareness. They all attribute greatly on what we've learned in our past. And if we don't know those things, how can we ever fucking know what self-awareness is or self-care? Oh, I did self-care today. I got my nails done. No, sweetheart, that is not self-care. That's you treating yourself. That is not self-care. Self-care is within. It is so much deeper and way more beautiful than anything you could comprehend, but it is the scariest thing out there, which is why my job is so difficult, which is why I love it. Because every time I have one person tell me, Angela, I feel like I can have feelings again. I feel like I can have emotions again. Let me kind of move. That being said, let me kind of move in a different direction. I want to mention something. Let's talk for a few minutes about not raising our kids the way that we raised and how wrong that is. Let's have a little chat about it. So, where I'm not saying intergenerational trauma is bullshit. I'm not saying that because I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it's not. Again, we can believe that there is trauma. We can believe that there is intergenerational trauma. But to say that you are fighting your ass off to do the complete opposite of what your parents did, how is that fucking helping you? And how's that working out for you? We look at our caretakers with contempt, hatred for all the childhood life experiences we've had to face. Because why not blame everyone else? We blame them. We say, I'm going to try everything in my power not to be like that. Right? Okay. Now, I do believe that if children have caretakers who have comfort and can provide strength and can provide love and safety and belonging, they tend to have more resiliency and they're more accepting of situations. But I truly do not believe that any person is horrible or unsavable or unforgivable. As I always say, we're all fucked up and that's not fucked up. Even if you didn't have, you had love, safety, and belonging, think about, those people, you just have your nose kind of up to the whole situation. You don't even have an open mind to it because you're like, no, I don't even have that. You don't at all? No? Because the problem with not experiencing life's woes, there's downsides to everything. So if you don't experience life's woes, then how can you ever have a true passion and fight? I'm not saying it's good to have trauma. I'm not saying it's good to only have good. What I'm saying is there's a balance, fucking balance. So where I say that, yeah, that person that harmed you or raised you the way that you want to say is completely, utterly wrong. How would you feel if your child gets older and blames you because they never had to struggle or work hard for anything because you wanted to give them everything because you never got it? And then they tell you, I wasn't prepared. Well, I was trying to protect you because I wasn't prepared for the world because nobody taught me anything. That's what we try and say, right? That's what we would say. Everybody has the flaws. This is why there's such a balance. That's why communication is so fucking important. I know we can sit there easily and say that man that molested a child or hurt a child or hurt a woman or hurt a man. We can say they're just horrible people. They have no soul. They just need to be burned alive, right? They're people too. Don't hate the person, hate the behavior. And until you can get to that level, don't fucking sit here and tell me that you're fucking good. Don't fucking do that. Until you can look at each and every person with empathy, don't ever tell me that you're good. Because I'll just look at you and I'll say, oh, are you though? I can't fucking force it on you. I'm not going to argue the fact with you, because if somebody believes something in their mind, if they're telling you that, they want the argument, right? Or they want you to just be like, oh, well, no, you need to do, no, I'm not about that life. You have to want to grow for anything that I talk about to even fucking get into your brain in any way, shape, or form. I'm sure there's plenty of people that start to listen to my podcast and they're like, yeah, scroll, next, right? If you want to truly accept who you are, if you truly want to be the best parent you can possibly be, it starts with you, not with bringing all your intergenerational trauma onto them. Oh, well, that's what I'm doing, Angela. I'm making sure that I don't bring it onto them. By what? Doing the complete opposite, because that is still bringing intergenerational trauma on them. You are doing the opposite. Therefore, you're being oppositional and you're teaching them that their way is wrong, that your parents or your caretaker's way was wrong, and that your way is right. Thus continuing the same fucking madness. Now, getting back to Bowlby. He says that children are captivated by faces and voices and are exquisitely sensitive to facial expression, posture, tone of voice, physiological changes, tempo of movement, and incipient action, which is basically the beginning stages. That's what incipient action means, your beginning actions. In other words, stop comparing your shit to anyone else and just focus on you. How is your tone of voice when you're talking to your kids? How is your tone of voice when you're talking to somebody else and your kids are in earshot? How is your posture when you're communicating? What does your face look like? What kind of physiological changes are happening inside your body? Your tempo of movement. How are you moving? He also says that children are programmed to choose one particular adult or at least a few with whom their natural communication system develops, and that is their primary attachment bond. So if they bond and if they bond to you, then you better be fucking ready. Because any and every mistake that you make, they're going to bring it up. Don't think that you're high and mighty because you went through something regardless of, or despite what your caretaker put you through, right? You're like, you guys put me through this, right? This is about you. You're a grown-ass adult now. You're a grown-ass adult. Point the finger all you fucking want. But your children are watching. Your children are watching every movement, expression, reaction. So if you have any kind of hatred towards anyone and show it in any way, shape, or form, as we were just saying, if your child is focusing on you as the attachment bond, then good luck when they get older, because they're learning. They're learning how to hate you, and they won't even know because it's subconscious. Sometimes we become so focused on trying to not be our parents or our caretakers or raising the kids, we lose sight of what our child actually wants and needs to thrive. Turn off your mind from your past and learn how to take care of them the best way you possibly can. Who knows, you may be even an example for your caretaker. The more shame, blame, and hatred you have, the less any of this shit is going to work. This is a really interesting story that Bowlby says, right? He said he noticed while sitting at Regent's Park in London, he would watch as mothers would sit on benches, knitting or reading while the kids would explore, and every now and then they would look over, and if their mom was watching, they'd be fine. But if someone else went up to their mom and began talking to them, then all of a sudden the child wanted to stay close and make sure mom's paying attention again. The children become nervous because they don't have their mother's full attention. Kolk says that Bowlby saw attachment as the secure base from which a child moves out into the world. He also says that research over 5 decades has firmly established that having a safe haven promotes self-reliance and instills a sense of sympathy and helpfulness to others in distress. You see, if there's a healthy give and take, then children learn that other people have differences of opinions, feelings, thoughts, and it's okay to have similarities and differences. Kolk even says, in other words, they get in sync with their environment and with the people around them and develop the self-awareness, empathy, impulse control, and self-motivation that make it impossible to become contributing members of the larger social culture. In other words, your children are watching you. Just like we like to dissect our caretakers or the people that have harmed us, the children are watching you. There has to be a healthy give and take. If you are not putting aside a time for yourself, if you are not setting a boundary for yourself, for your children, look, guys, I told you, this is me time. I have a lot of feelings right now. My feelings are valid, and I need time right now. If you are not doing that, then how the fuck do you think your kids are going to learn that? Stop giving everything to your kids and not doing anything for yourself in return. Because you are just teaching them to do the exact same fucking thing. That fucking hit, didn't it? You're like, shit. Damn it, Angela. You're right. I know. Anyways, we have more to come. I had a fucking blast. I hope you guys did too. Remember, like, follow, share this shit with any and everybody that you think could benefit from this. And don't forget to comment. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.